Hey guys, welcome back to the In Gear Motorsport YouTube channel. I'm Mackenzie and today I'm going to be talking you through a Donington Park track guide. For my guide today I used a AMG GT3 car, but I do find most of the GT3s handle perform in the same sort of way around here in terms of the lines, using the curbs, that type of thing. So I don't think we need to get as caught up on that as we do normally, but do bear that in mind. If you're in a different car, it might be slightly different for you. I've also put a link to the setup that I used in the description below, so feel free to grab that. And the time is a 1:27.1. I think I could probably get to the mid 1:26s with a bit more setup tweaks because it's not actually that different from default aggressive. A little bit with the stiffness, camber, and getting the pressures right, and a click or two less error. So I've not done a great deal on that front. But yeah, a bit more I think could help, and personally I think I could go a little bit faster, but hopefully this lap helps you. And we'll start with a flying lap and then I'll break it down corner by corner for you. So here we go then, let's jump straight into a flying lap at Donington Park. Here we are then, coming onto the start of our lap. We want to be looking all the way up at the pit exit to make sure no one's coming out, because we're going to use all that space on the left as much as we can. Then trail braking in and late apex. Make sure you ease the power in, use the runoff as much as possible, but don't go out onto the bumpy stuff. And then as we come down the crane occurs fast flowing section, really smooth with the wheel. Upshift as you turn left to help the front bite. And again, trail braking is important here. Use all that inside AstroTurf that helps the car turn. And again, nice and smooth as we go through this fast flowing section. Ready to pick out our braking marker just as we straighten the wheel up, bang on the brakes, get the nose in, use as much curve as possible, but don't go over it too much because there is a bump. And again, looking for the braking just as the tarmac changes there, get the nose in, curb helps the car change direction, upshift early as we come out of coppice, all focusing on the exit, hold left for a little bit of time before we move right, so you don't scrub the speed off unnecessarily. And we're braking between the two markers there, so about halfway through, just clip the tyre wall, and that's not actually there when you're in the game, it's just the replay that shows it, because it's long gone by this stage of the race. And then hard on the brakes down into the hairpin for the last corner. Use the curb to hook the wheel under it and help the car turn. Straighten the wheel as you begin to accelerate. Get the power down, up the hill. Again, we're going to go for a nice tight inside line of this next corner. The curb will help the car rotate, so it drags it round. Straighten the wheel as you first put the power down, let the traction come to you, and then finish off the last bit of turning and across the line for our lap. Okay, so here we go then, we're just coming into the last corner. First thing to note is if you're in qualifying, you can gain a little bit of time by coming out really wide, cutting back and getting a faster exit, but overall you want to be nice and tight on this corner, which you'll see at the end of the lap. But just a side note, head out to the outside and cut back to get a much straighter line and faster exit at the start of what you would imagine is going to be your qualifying pole lap. But we're looking at kind of a fast race lap at this point. So we come across the start finish line then, looking to move the car over to the left hand side of the grid. And the key thing is use all the space available. Okay, I'm literally just within the limits of the track, maximising the space. And if I come to the outside view for a second, then you'll see what I'm talking about very quickly, okay? So you've got all this extra runoff, make the most of it. You need a very late apex into turn one, so this helps maximise that. Now, of course, if someone's coming out the pits, and you've got to keep your eyes peeled for that, but you want to be as far over into this space as you can get. And if I just roll forward a bit more, you'll see I'm starting to turn in just as I get to the end of all of that runoff sort of section. Okay, so let's just slow this down to half speed. Coming in then, trying to pick up an apex. It's just after the green AstroTurf. Okay, so I just pull that back a second and then come and freeze it where I'm looking. So we start turning in, looking for the AstroTurf to apex just after. And trail braking is very important into here, so you're easing off the brake pedal gradually. Don't just come off all at once, ease off gradually. And then you've got to be really patient. So there's my apex. Look, just after that, you do not want to clip the grass because there is a big bump on the inside, so try and avoid clipping that at all costs. Alright, so the next thing that's important is be patient with the power. It's so easy to want to jump back on the accelerator pedal straight away, but it's important that we also keep the car nice and balanced. So if you was to look at my throttle trace, you can see as the power comes back in, it's half, three quarters, full. So I have that little off moment and then I'm full power on the way out of the corner again. And away we go. Use all of the runoff on the outside of the track. So So again, let me just come back and show you what we're looking for here. Okay, all of the white and red curbing, but not so much of the AstroTurf. I find that can slow the car down, although if you need it, you can use it. It's not really the end of the world. I find, you know, you're talking hundredths at that point in time. But the exit is very, very important. So do make sure you get a late apex, cut the car back, trail brake in, on the power, and then we begin the downhill sort of crane of curves section. Now, super smooth on the steering the whole way through. That's what you're looking for this. You see, I'm making confident and minimal steering movements the whole way down. So let's just do that again a little bit slower. Okay. You can start to sort of gauge the inputs a little bit more. So as the car comes down the hill, really gentle with the steering wheel, one solid movement. What you don't want is to be kind of hacksawing at the wheel. Very tempting to do. Okay, now a little tip for you as you drop into the fast left. If you look, I upshift just as I turn in, and what happens there is that upshift just throws a little bit of weight forward as there's a kind of stutter in the engine as it cuts the engine for that split second onto the front wheels, and it helps me turn in. It really helps having the extra air in a GT3 car for this. I've noticed in the GT4s you just don't have the grip. So again, watch the gear shift just as we come through into the left. So straight wheel, left, upshift, and the car bites, and then you hold it to the left. And it is really important that if we look from a top-down view, we are coming out to the left-hand side. Now, I left time on the table here. This is one of the places I know I can go faster. You want to be right the way out to that outside curb. What's important is that you don't turn in too late. And you can see even when you look at this from above, that the sort of the rubbered-in line on the track, it's before the end of the curb that it starts to come in. Okay, so if you turn in too late, it's a bit slippy and you lose it and you don't get the apex then. So about halfway across this curb, just after you want to start to turn the car into the corner, which you can see I'm doing here. So that's about the turning point. I'm just a little bit too tight. I should be a bit wider. Come in, and then you actually want to be almost aiming to hit those orange sticks. In the replays, it seems to keep those there, but I think they got obliterated on lap 1 of this race. So we didn't manage 7 laps without hitting them. They are gone. Anyway, use the green AstroTurf. It helps suck the car into the corner. Okay, I'm going to just get rid of the HUD for a second so it's a little bit clearer, and use all this space on the outside. Now again, where I could have carried a bit more speed on the way in, I probably could have used a bit more exit on the way out as well, but I left a little bit on the table. There's definitely a couple attempts here, but hopefully the turning in points and the rough sort of speed gives you an idea through there. Another little pointer for this corner is you want to just give the car a little bit of a flick. Okay, so you'll see it as I hit the brakes. And what I mean by that is I'm just setting the car up for the corner, so there's a little flick of the steering wheel as I brake, and it just seems to unsettle the rear a little bit, but it seems to help it turn in. So braking, little bit of turning, and what you're doing is giving the car a bit of notice in a way that you're about to turn, and then you come off the power for a long period of time. Okay, so again, let's do this a little bit slower with the HUD on this time, and that will all start to make more sense. Okay, so when we've come off the power, look at the trace. It's about just almost completely off. I wait and wait until just after the apex and then put the power back in again, and it still should come on gradually. It's not a switch, it's a pedal. So feed that power in progressively, and then you should get a nice clear exit and use all of that space. You can go a bit further if you need to, but the less you can get away with, the better, because you'll get a better run for the rest of this segment. Okay, let's speed it back up again. Okay, next thing then, as we come into the fast left-hander, we want to hold the car over to the left as much as possible. You'll see I'm hanging onto the steering lock longer than you probably would need to for this corner, because I want position for the right-hand corner. So I need to hold it to the left, and it's really important you straighten the steering wheel when you hit the brakes. So straighten the wheel. Okay, and then we turn in, and I'm looking to apex again, sort of mid to late corner, and I actually like to just hook it over the edge of the curb. It's a fine line this. If you're going for fast laps, you can hook a bit of the curb and it pulls you round. If you stick on the curb for too long, there's a big bump at the end of it and the car doesn't like it, but I got it just right on that occasion. So use a bit of the inside curb, hook the wheel round, use all the runoff, and you can actually get on the power sooner than you think to get it right. Okay, right, now for one of the hardest corners on the track. We're coming into Coppice, and I just want to kind of come into free cam for a minute for this, so we can get a full view of what I'm talking about, get rid of that HUD. As we're coming up the hill here, there's very little view of the apex of the corner, so it takes a bit of practice to get this right. There's also very little in the sense of braking markers. But if we look at the track here, can you see, particularly in a race environment, where there's an extra rubbered line? Okay, and I'm talking about this just here, where I am now. Okay, you see the track starts to get a little bit more rubbered in. That is the braking marker for this corner. There's not really a great deal else. You can see the sort of the orange marker over there on the right hand side. It's around that sort of area, but you want to hit the brakes nice and hard, naturally, but then you're looking to then come off quite quickly and roll a lot of speed in, and try carrying more speed into Coppice than you think you can. Okay, so what I mean by that is brake hard, but then come off the brakes sooner, let the speed roll in, and then you're looking to use a nice big chunk of this AstroTurf. Again, this orange stick usually gets hit out of the way fairly early on, so it won't be there, so you can't really go by that. You're looking to come across this AstroTurf, literally right to the edge of the AstroTurf, but no further, because there's a big bump otherwise, and it literally sucks you in. If you get that right, you'll know it, because the car just gets sucked in nicely from that curb. Okay, so here we come then, looking for the braking marker, bang, just as I reach that rubbered in section, turning in as I come off the brake, hook the inside, and it holds the car nice and tight then. And the next thing I do is I upshift to third nice and early. That helps the car bite and retain traction and not slide too much. Okay, so if you stay in second, you might get a bit too much sliding, so up to third nice and early. You could even argue that you don't go down to second for that, but I find it helps the turn in a lot, so you have to go to second to help the turn in, and then upshift to third nice and early. Okay, right, let's do that again. So in we go, click the curb, upshift into third gear, nice and early, and away we go again. Now, another little tip for you. If you hold the car left just that little bit longer, you save yourself just a little bit of time. It's very easy when you first come off a corner to instantly move over to the right hand side or the left hand side ready for the next corner, but if you think about it, if you do that straight away, the car loses speed straight away and then you suffer the whole way up the straight. Hold it left, move a little bit later. There's a lot of crap and rubber and stuff on the offline section of the track if you leave it too long, but you'll see I just leave it that little bit longer than what perhaps most would. Okay, right, coming into the chicane. What an awesome chicane this is. It's such a cool corner. I'm looking to brake just between the two braking markers here, or the 100 metre and the turning in sign. Okay, so literally about there as we come between the two corners, the two markers. So coming into, yeah, probably just after the 100 metre then. And I'm coming to this view, and again, these have already long been destroyed on the inside of this corner, but this is how much you can use and it still be a legal lap. It's important that you know that you can really take a lot of this curb. I reckon that is bang on the limit. If you go a centimetre more than that, then it invalidates the lap, or in the case of a race, of course, you'll get a warning. So you can't go any more than that, but that just gives you an idea. And if I just slow that down in car view, you'll get an idea when I'm turning in. Okay, I'll let it get a bit closer, and then we'll come in nice and slow. So you're looking to use all of the green AstroTurf when there's nothing else there to look for, and then straighten the wheel up as quickly as possible, straight over the curb, and get the power down gradually. Upshift to third if you do go down to second, but I tend to just stay in third. I find you carry more speed through. If you've got it right, you're getting pushed all the way over to that curb on the outside, and you just about make it. Let the car settle, and then get yourself away and ready for the next corner. Okay, now as we're coming in down here, I pulled the car right just a little bit before the hairpin, and there's a very deliberate reason that I do that, because what it means is I can now brake ever so slightly to the left, which means I can brake a bit later and just elongate my braking zone a little bit, because I'm going diagonally from that little off centre over to the left hand side, and then it just means I can brake a bit later into the corner a bit deeper. Very, very slow corner this. You've just got to be patient with the power. Down to gear 1. I like to hook the curb. It lets the car get a bit more grip and help to turn. A little bit of power the whole way around. It just helps keep the diff active, so tiny little bit of power stays on, but I'm talking like 5–10%, and then as soon as the steering wheel starts to straighten up, imagine almost like a piece of string. Okay, when you turn the wheel, it pulls your foot away from the pedal. As you straighten the wheel up, it allows your foot to go back on the accelerator pedal again. So the more you straighten the wheel, the more you put the power down. So it's really smooth on the way out. And then straight wheel, full power, up to second gear, and let the revs come up because it is uphill, so that helps as well. And then we're looking for the Pirelli sign on the right hand side as a braking marker, just before that in this particular case, so just before the Pirelli sign. And then we're looking to turn in nice and tight, and again hook the inside curb. And again, look at my throttle trace in the bottom right. I'm just going to do that again so you can see without the HUD, the replay HUD in the way. Okay, look at the throttle trace, ease off the brake, and then just a little bit. Okay, and for a few seconds I'm on a quarter throttle, then I start bringing it back up. And there's another little thing that I found that you can do on this last corner to get a better run, is just as you're exiting, straighten the steering wheel up. You'll just wait for it. Okay, there. I've not finished the corner yet, but I straighten my wheel up, go full power and drive to the outside curb, and then do the last little correction. Okay, as I upshift a second, I correct the last bit. So straight wheel, full power, out to the curb, and then we can get the power down fully a bit sooner that way and get a better run out of this corner. And the last thing, on your best lap, hold the car to the right hand side. You can tell I knew in the race this was a good lap because I held it to the right until I'd more or less crossed the line. But generally speaking, it's good to do that anyway. Don't instantly drag the car left. You know, you might as well do that later in the straight and lose the time there. Okay, there you go everyone. There is the track guide for Donington Park. Hope you found that useful. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and of course comment below. Any comments are always welcome, and I've had a couple bits of feedback on some of the other track guides, which is kind of what led to me making this one. So please, let me know what videos you want to see, what track guide shall I do next, anything at all like that. And please do come and get involved on our Discord and League Racing nights if you're interested and you're playing the game as well. So that's it for this one though. Thanks very much, and I will see you next time.